What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage. This is the beginning of phase 2 of Eugene's beautification process. We're going to start on the fenders. So I've got them unpacked and set up on a table over here. We're going to start with an automotive type primer, and then we're going to do a bed liner coating to give them a little bit more, make them a little tougher. They've already kind of been banged up in shipping, so I want to make sure that the coating that I put on there is nice and thick so it doesn't rub through and start rusting. So I'm going to show you guys what we got and then we'll get started. Alright, so I got the fenders out here. You can see, like, on this corner they got a little dinged. There's a little bit of a wrinkle along inside here. Things like that I'm going to cover up with the coating that I'm going to put. The top sides look pretty good. But again, there's another wrinkle on this side. So I'm going to get started with the primer. You can really see it right there. I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll do the bed coating. So this is what I picked up, the primer and the bed coating. I only got 2 because that's all they had on the primer. I'm hoping I have enough. It's going to be 4 fenders, so I may have to go back for another bottle. But that's all they had on the shelf right now, so I may have to go back when they restock. But I got everything set up. I got my little fan in the window here set to blow out instead of in, so I get some ventilation. I want to find a mask real quick and get started spraying a little bit of this primer. And we'll see how it looks when we get done. All right, first round is done. Looks like good coverage. It covered up the dings and stuff. It's still a little wet, so I'm gonna let it dry. Inside's looking good. I got real good underneath the lip of the tubes under there because that's where dirt and water will sit. All right, I'm gonna let it ventilate in here. Let these dry real good, probably about an hour, and then we'll come back and do the bed coating. But for you guys, it'll just be a couple seconds, so see you then. All right, so I got the Rust-Oleum undercoating shook up, ready to go. It's been about 30-40 minutes. Everything's dry. So we're gonna do this second coat, see how that looks, and then we're gonna have to let it dry for quite a while before we actually install it. I'll check once I get done and see how long. All right, everything's looking pretty good now. I went ahead and did a second coat real quick. The can actually says to do a second coat within just a couple of minutes, so I didn't have time to set the camera back up. I just went with it. Everything's looking pretty good though. Yep, I like it. I did notice though that I grabbed undercoating. I meant to grab bed liner, but I think it'll still work. We'll see, hopefully. All right, that's going to be it for right now. I'm going to let this dry for a couple hours. The can says 1 hour minimum, but I'm going to give it more time than that because I don't want to push it and damage the coating. So for you guys, again, it'll be just a couple of seconds, but I'm going to give it a couple hours to dry and then we'll check it out. All right, see you then. All right, it's been a few hours now. It's been about 7 hours now since I painted these. Finish is looking really good. It's not tacky or sticky anymore. I think they're ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get Eugene in here and we'll get the front fenders taken off and get these mounted up. Got old Eugene in here ready to take these fenders off. These are aftermarket fenders. They're bushwhacker, but they're plastic, and you can see they kind of flex. So that's why I'm replacing them with metal. It's going to be a bunch of Phillips screws all the way around this, and then there's a piece underneath that that's bolted to the Jeep that those screw into. So I'm going to grab some tools real quick. We're going to get these taken off, and then we'll fit these up and see what they look like. All right, I can't really hold it up there and hold the camera, but the instructions say to set it on this and then line up the bolts through these holes here. So I'm gonna get that knocked out, but first I gotta put the rubber edge on this. It's got a rubber, you can see it on the back one here, this part. I gotta put that on there first. And I remember doing the back ones, I had a heck of a time getting that to stay in place while I put it up, so there may be some cursing on this one. And I may have to get rid of these inner fender liners there. I don't know. On the old fenders, they like went inside, so they held, but these, there's nowhere for that, so I may have to take those off and just get some nice aftermarket ones later. I'm gonna try to get this thing mounted up and we'll see what happens. All right, the first one's on. It took a little bit of creativity. I ended up just taking that fender liner out because it doesn't line up correctly over here, and it was just getting in the way and tearing my hands all up. So I'll have to get some aftermarket fender liners to give it that finished look again, but for now it'll work. I just got to trim off the bottom of the little trim piece there. It's a little bit narrower than the old ones, but I think it'll be all right. I look like a sprinkler going down the road in the rain anyway, so it's not going to hurt anything. All right, I'm going to knock out the other side, and then we'll get a look at it when it's done. All right, this side is on. Gotta trim off the leftovers down there. Everything's bolted up the way it's supposed to be. Yeah, those are solid. That ain't going nowhere. All right, so that'll finish up the front. I'll probably wait until in the morning to take these back ones off because they're metal already. Same brand, but the finish failed. So I'm gonna sand them and wire brush them and clean them up real good and refinish them the same way I finished those. Hopefully it'll last longer. That'll be a tomorrow job. So for now, that's it. I'll see you guys in a few seconds. All right, guys, so I'm back, and after thinking about it, I slept on it last night. I've decided to go ahead and hold off on doing the rear fenders. I didn't buy the right coating for the front fenders. It's undercoating. It's like a rubbery substance instead of, I meant to get bed liner. I didn't realize that till after I, started on the project. So I'm gonna give it like a month and see how it holds up and see if it gets scuffed easy or, after a few washes and mud slinging on it and if it stains. I just want to see how good it holds before I go through the process and the hassle of taking the back ones off and refinishing those. So I'm just going to touch up that rusty spot with some primer and probably some of the undercoating I have left in the first can, and just to keep it from rusting through. And then if the fronts hold up, I'll go ahead and do the backs, but if they don't, I'll have to start over and strip all that off and get some bed liner in there. But for now, I'm going to finish this one off. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. It was a pretty simple project, just kind of tedious. There's like 9 bolts on each of those fenders, and it's kind of a pain to get your fingers in there, but it's doable. I'm already shopping for some fender liners because I had to remove the plastic factory fender liners. I don't like the look of it opened up like that, so maybe a future video will be installing those fender liners. But for now, that's it on this one. You guys have fun and rock on.